that. I don't care about the stats. I just want to become a better football player, but I don't know about that dirty locker room.
Yeah, the dirty locker gave me the ick.
I don't know about that. Here's a look at the scouting combine schedule, the workout schedule. Wednesday, all about the kickers. Thursday, you got defensive linemen and linebackers. Friday, defensive backs and tight ends, my favorite position. Saturday is all about offense. You got the running backs, the quarterbacks, and the wide receivers. And of course, Sunday is all about the offensive linemen. Let's bring it back out to the guys in Indy. What do you got for us, Ryan Wilson?
Thanks. We're here back at the Combine. Jonathan Jones, Pete Prisco, Ryan Wilson. Let's start with the quarterbacks. And Jonathan, you'll be shocked to learn that Pete doesn't love this quarterback class.
I'm stunned by that.
I mean, I'm a realist.
You just always want to go viral.
Well, let's talk about PD Viral Prisco. Let's talk about it then. So last year, 6 quarterbacks went in the top 12 picks, and that was a surprise. I don't think people, except for Jonathan, by the way, he nailed Michael Penix Jr. going to the Falcons in his only mock draft, and then, of course, Bo Nix went 12th to the Denver Broncos. This year's quarterback class, I have an idea. I'll save it for last because I'm the draft dude here. But, Pete, I'll start with you. Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders, where would they rank in last year's quarterback class?
Well, certainly behind the top 3 guys.
Caleb, Jaden, and Drake May.
Yes, be behind those guys, and probably behind Michael Penix in my mind as well. And then it gets interesting.
J.J. McCarthy and Bo Nix are the other two.
And Bo Nix, obviously, if you knew what you knew about Bo Nix a year ago,
right,
he'd be ahead of him. But right now, he'd be behind him probably as well. Because, look, nobody thought Bo Nix was going to be what he was.
And a lot of credit to Bo Nix and Sean Payton.
And they're talking to Sean Payton, they think he's only scratching the surface. They really think he's going to be special. So I'd probably rank it behind him, too. J.J. McCarthy, we have no idea.
We don't know.
We don't know. So, yeah, and I'm not just saying the quarterbacks aren't good. There's just a lot of flaws in their game right now. I think Cam Ward's a little loose with the football.
Fair enough.
As one coach told me yesterday, how you draft a guy number 1 who throws the football like this? I mean, that's a concern. And Shedeur Sanders doesn't have a great arm. So there are concerns about the quarterback class.
Shedeur Sanders can make every throw. I'll just leave it at that. Go ahead, JJ.
I would say our methodology here, we got to remember where we were 365 days ago with Bo Nix. Right. We were talking about, is he going to be Oregon Bo Nix or is he going to be Auburn Bo Nix? And so to that point, I think if you were actually legitimately ranking them in the pre-draft rankings, I think you're going to put Cam Ward ahead of Bo Nix.
I agree.
Knowing what we know now, of course, I could see him being after him. You mentioned that Shedeur Sanders can make every throw. He does not have the arm talent. He does not have the velocity. He does not have the juice behind his throws. We have seen that in videos where he and Cam Ward are throwing, and it is stark and clear who has the better arm.
And that may be why he's not throwing this week.
I think that's a big reason, probably, why he's not throwing this week, because he can go up and throw, and then Dylan Gabriel's right after him, and then we can see the lack of velocity on the football. Now, to a point that Andrew Berry made yesterday, sitting right here, to a point that many other people have made. We have 4 years of film on this guy throwing the football, making every throw against top-level competition. Okay, great. Go ahead and use that. But we cannot make any mistake about how strong or not strong his arm is, because it is very clear.
No, that's right. And look, and Pete kills me for this. I was a huge Mac Jones guy coming out. He had a great final season at Alabama. Had an okay rookie season with Josh McDaniels as his OC, but the lack of athleticism and the lack of arm strength ultimately doomed his career. Now, Shedeur's a better athlete and maybe a better arm, we'll see. But to your point, Pete, the fit has to be right, whether it's Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders.
And look, I like Cam Ward's game. I just think he's a little loose with the football. I think the throwing motion's a little off. He's got to work on that. He's got to quit taking sacks when he bails out of pockets. I think it's all things that maybe are fixable. But again, would I take Cam Ward 1, or would I take a guy like Kyle McCord 3rd? And I think in the 3rd round. And I think I'm probably leaning more to something along those lines.
But who's your quarterback, though? If you are the Tennessee Titans, if you're the Cleveland Browns, if you're the New York Giants, you need a quarterback. Let's pretend we don't get one in free agency, and you need a quarterback in the draft. You are not passing up on Cam Ward at 1, 2, or 3 to take Kyle McCord in the 3rd.
Because you're desperate for a quarterback. If you don't have an evaluation on that guy, you're going to force that? I don't.
Yeah, it happens every year in the NFL.
I know it does, and that's when you get into big trouble. That's when Zach Wilsons of the world happen. You don't force it. You take a pass rusher number 1 and you wait for your quarterback. Next year's quarterback class is actually really good.
Yeah, you can't wait till next year. You're getting fired.
Let me ask you this before we move on to the free agent quarterback class. Pete, Abdul Carter stood back here an hour and a half ago and said he's the best player in this draft, should be taken 1st overall. If you're the Tennessee Titans, are you just taking Abdul Carter and figuring out the quarterback situation later?
I would strongly consider trading down to try and get more assets and maybe get him in, if you trade down to 2 or 3 or something and you can still get him. You can't go too far. But if you're stuck there, yeah, I would take Abdul Carter. I'm not taking one of these quarterbacks. I just don't, for me, that's just me. Again, I've been wrong before, and I'll be wrong again, just like the teams will be. But in this scenario, I'm not taking a quarterback.
You're not usually wrong, though, Pete. I will say this. One of the great things about the NFL, or one of the bad things, is that we have free agency before the draft. Right. In the NBA, you have the draft and then you have free agency. And so all of this talk about what are the Titans going to do, look, if they wind up making a deal to get one of these quarterbacks that may be dangling out there in free agency, or, Matthew Stafford is not a free agent, for example, we're absolutely talking about Abdul Carter going number 1 to the Tennessee Titans. And don't get too cute, right? I know you probably have to hate it, Pete, when these teams want to try to get a little cute, like, I'm going to go down to 3 and then get my guy. Your guy might not be there.
Right. I'm with you. If you have a conviction on a player and you think he's the best player to draft, you take him right there. Don't move down and try and get extra picks and risk the possibility of losing out.
And also get a lot of people on Twitter saying how much of a draft genius you are because you did this with the draft chart. Right. Forget about that.
As you noted, Pete is all about clicks and being viral, so that's something he would do. JJ talked about the free agent quarterback class, Pete. Matthew Stafford, not a free agent, but JJ mentioned him as a possibility. Almost certainly leaving the Rams. I don't understand that part, why the Rams would part ways with him. But to the point of teams needing quarterbacks, what's your list here, and how does this figure in for Stafford in terms of landing spots that make sense?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't get rid of him if I were the Rams.
I agree with that.
I think it's just dumb to even think about that. The Rams were within a whisker of beating the Eagles, in large part because of Matt Stafford. And they're a young team. They're on the rise. They need to get faster. I mean, that's a big problem for their team. They're slow. But you get some speed in there and still keep Matt Stafford, you're a team that can compete for a Super Bowl. You might be able to go win the Super Bowl. So why would you get rid of him? For $10 million? I know they want 50 maybe?
Yeah, around 50.
Figure it out. You can figure it out. The cap went up. You can figure it out. They figured it out to go get a bunch of stars a couple years ago when they got him and won the thing. So figure it out with Matt Stafford. I don't understand why you would even trade him.
So I just want to ask quickly, are the Giants becoming a name to know with Matthew Stafford?
There is no doubt that the New York Giants are a name to know, that the New York Giants do have interest in Matthew Stafford. Let's again be clear. He's not a free agent.
Right.
Let's again be clear about trade compensation. What will the Rams ultimately accept in compensation for Matthew Stafford? The Giants are going to part with the number 3 pick. That's not going to happen. Do the Rams want the second-round pick? Sure. Would the Giants want to get rid of it? Probably not. So we're talking about a third-round pick. To Pete's point, excellent point, why do the Rams really want to get rid of Matthew Stafford for a difference of $10 million and a third-round pick? I'm sorry, that's not enough. And so really sort of the order of operations here is going to be they allowed him to go out there, he and his agent, to talk with other teams, to gauge his market, right? It's almost like anti-collusion in a way. Go out and gauge your market. Okay, well, now come back to us with this offer. You're 37 years old. Let's say the Giants are willing to give you a 3-year deal that averages $49 million a year. Now the Rams get to decide, do we want to do that? Do we want to guarantee the first 2 years? And you know what? We're going to hang on to you. So this is far from being over. This book is far from being finished and written and all of those things. We still got a couple weeks to go.
Here's the other part of that equation. If he goes to the Giants, Matt Stafford, good quarterback. Are they in the division mix with the Eagles? And the Commanders?
Well, they're not on the Eagles level, no. But are we talking about a wild card team with the young talent? Let's not forget how many injuries they had last year.
Yeah, I get it, but I still don't think they're the third team in the division at best.
Well,
correct?
I don't know about that.
They need a quarterback is the point. All right, JJ, we're up against it, but I want to get quickly to the NFLPA survey results. The parade of home of sorts as it comes to NFL teams. What do you know?
So they had their 3rd annual report card. The NFLPA did. They surveyed about 1,700 players over the course of this past season. Miami Dolphins, back-to-back champs, number 1 in the report card that looks at a number of things: treatment of families and daycare at team facilities, ownership, head coaches, all of these things, 11 different categories. The Dolphins ranked number 1. The Minnesota Vikings ranked number 2 for a second consecutive year. And bringing up the caboose at number 32, Michael Bidwell's Arizona Cardinals. So a couple of teams made some really big jumps. The Atlanta Falcons, for example, the Los Angeles Chargers did. And last year's team, the Washington Washington Commanders, 32nd up to 11th, in large part because of new ownership, Josh Harris. Or should I say, maybe not new ownership, but the fact that it's not the old owner.
Yeah.
Well, in Miami, I mean, what the heck? Every player should love it. You get fined and you still don't have to be on time for team meetings. It's a great situation.
And that's why the head coach of the Miami Dolphins doesn't like Pete Prisco. By the way, CBS Sports geriatric care, 100% A++ according to Pete Prisco. That's it for us here in Indianapolis. We'll be here all week with the First Pick NFL Combine coverage. And Pete, like I told you yesterday, you can watch or listen to With the First Pick wherever you get your podcast. So check out the QR code.
All right. Well, he already set me up for that one. First of all, Haley, it looks like they're enjoying themselves out there at the Combine.
He is so messy, man.
You know it. And in fact, their latest episode just dropped before 10 a.m. today. 10 prospects that can help their stock, plus Andy Reid convo and more. That's right. Chiefs head coach Andy Reid, along with their GM, Brett Veach, and Titans head coach Brian Callahan joined Brian Wilson, Mike Renner, Pete Prisco, and JJ live from the Combine. And like Ryan Wilson just said, scan the QR code on your screen or listen wherever you get your podcasts.